Are you thinking of upgrading your water-fed pole to a high mod pole, or do you own one but you're thinking what can I do to make it better? Well, in this video I'll show you my setup for my high mod pole. Now the pole I use is a high mod pole. I've got it from Xline and it's called a Carbon Nano. I absolutely love this pole. The reason why I went for this pole was at the time in my first year I had a problem with my engine on the van. So I was working from a car, I was using 6 barrels of water which weigh 25 kilograms each, and also a gardener's backpack. So over the course of a couple of weeks my arms and my shoulders were getting shattered from lifting and shifting all that weight about. The only thing that I could do to make my setup any lighter was basically the pole itself. Head on over here to the Xline webpage. On the navigation tabs at the top, hover your cursor over the water-fed poles so you can see at a glance the range of poles they do. We're interested in the high mod carbon. It's in here that you'll then find where the Carbon Nano will be. When this opens up, you'll see in there they do a range of different size poles. So it will go from 18 foot and you can see that will go all the way up to 60 feet. The one we're interested in is 25 foot pole. The reason why I'm going to go for the 25 foot pole is this is probably the most common starter size for a water-fed pole, as it will cover most heights that you need to get when you're cleaning windows on a residential round. You can also see on here then details about the pole itself, so we'll go through them. The weight is 1.16 kilograms. It's got the dimensions for you, tells you the material, so it's super high modulus carbon fibre or high mod. It will tell you the extended pole length, so when fully extended and measured from one end to the other it will be 25 foot pole. For a pole working height they've said 30 foot because they take into the account of the average person holding the pole, so it will gain you an extra 5 foot for working with. The collapse length is 1.84 centimetres, so you can measure that and see if it'll actually fit in your van, but do take into account you're going to have a gooseneck and also your brush on the end. It's got 5 sections and on top of each section there'll be a clamp, so it'll also come with 5 clamps. I found the clamps that came with the pole to be a bit harsh and they quickly wore down the first section, and I found they started to spin. So I trialled the facelift phantom clamp and I found that kept me first section, even though it was worn, really well, and I got another year's use out of it. So I soon adopted all the clamps on the rest of the pole. That's something I definitely would recommend to everyone, no matter what pole you got. Obviously it won't fit on the OV8. I like using the swivel goosenecks. The ones I like are from Gardner. I know swivel goosenecks aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I find them really handy, so it's probably another video idea. The ones I particularly like are these ones, which is the quick lock angle adapter. It's the type 1, and I've got the long swivel gooseneck for me longer poles, and the shorter poles like the 4 foot one for example, I use the shorter swivel gooseneck. I like using the quick lock system because this enables me to change my brushes from DuPont or flocked really quickly, and it helps my workflow up no end. I find the gooseneck really handy when I'm doing them hard to reach windows, especially over conservatory roofs or extensions. It just enables me to get to the window and clean it a lot better than a fixed swivel neck, I find. I do know some people hate that. I love it, and I still keep my swivel gooseneck on just in case you're wondering when I'm cleaning fascia soffits and gutters. Moving on to the brush heads, I use the 26 centimetre rectangle brushes from Xline. They last me a long time, they're definitely good value for money, you can definitely get your money's worth out of them. And I use the DuPont one, and I also use the flocked. The flocked I use for leaded windows or wooden windows to help look after the customer's paint, etc. And the DuPont I use for everything else because it's got really good scrubbing power. On all the brushes I use the brush bumpers. I find them really handy and it helps keep my brush in good nick for when I'm getting about 2 years worth out of it. Obviously I change the bumpers more regular than that. Inside both of the brushes, the flocked and the DuPont one, I use the 9 rinse bar that comes with the 26 centimetre rectangle brush. Absolutely love the rinse bar, find it really good for obviously rinsing, and also while I'm scrubbing and you're going up and down the window quite quick, it's going to help push a wave of water down, so it's kind of pre-rinsing your window before you actually rinse at the end. I really love these brushes. The brushes coupled with a swivel gooseneck are absolutely brilliant. They're a winning combination when you're getting in them tight spaces like between a conservatory where it's tight up against a fence, and with the rinse bars as well, absolutely winning combination. Totally recommend them. Now, what water-fed pole system would not be complete without the univalve from Exceed Innovations? Top bit of kit, really easy to install. It allows you to turn the water on and off quickly, so I find that speeds up my workflow rate for the day, and it also is going to help you save some water. Something else I use from Exceed Innovations is their tubeless system, so I have it fitted on me hose reel and also in the hose that's inside my pole. This is great at keeping my van nice and tidy. Also, I like to work so I can have the reel hose going through the underfloor guides, then I connect it to my pole and I can close the doors and lock them behind me for peace of mind when I'm working away from the van. It speeds up my process. It also allows me to connect different pole setups using this system to my main hose reel. It's really good, totally rate it. Now, I really love my high mod pole setup. It's very useful for me being a bit older in age. I'm nearly 50, so I'm 47 at the moment, probably getting to 50 quick the way I'm feeling. So yeah, the pole suits me fine. I have used my pole at nearly 90-degree angles, almost 30 foot to reach some really hard to reach windows, and it's took all that. Hasn't been easy. So I'm very, very glad I've got my high mod pole. I wouldn't use anything else. The pole itself, I have an it's a 25 foot pole, but it's stripped down to 18 foot. And then with the 25 foot I put back on as an extension, I've also had other extensions to it. So I can go up to 35 foot. So basically I have an 18 foot pole, and when I need to, I add the extra extension on the other half, which turns it to a 35 foot pole. This is so I can reach the high skylights that I often get to, and the odd window which is in a really awkward position. But because I'm using a very strong light pole, it definitely makes it, or my life, a lot easier. Now, if you've been thinking of getting a high mod pole or been looking at doing modifications to your current setup, hope this has been of use to you. I definitely like the way I've got things. I know everyone's different. So hope it's all been good, and I'll see you on the next video.